What's up? So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the Haslab Marvel Legends and how far this has fallen. Something that I haven't seen anybody else reference are the numbers of the previous Haslabs that have been successful for Marvel Legends. A couple of people have talked about when it has funded, whether it funded within 24 to 48 hours or whether it took a couple of weeks for it to fund. Ultimately, these things did get funded and they got funded at high numbers. So I'm going to talk about the ones that have funded today rather than the Engine of Vengeance, because we all know what happened with that. Now, what I think is very interesting about the Engine of Vengeance is that Hasbro themselves, with the G.I. Joe property, can release a vamp for in and around €99.99. Now, that's without taxes in America. It's working out at €125 to get it in Europe. So that is quite expensive, in my opinion. However, they're able to do that and not have to do a Haslab for that. So that means that the Engine of Vengeance shouldn't have been a Haslab. The X-Men Marvel Legends Sentinel came in at 21,873 backers with a target of 6,000. To me, very strange given the fact that that was an army builder, but to me, as you can see, as time moves on, Hasbro become increasingly greedy. So you've got Marvel Legends Galactus, the target being 14,000, so over double the amount needed for the Sentinel, and not an army builder. And this looked a bit shaky as well too towards the end, and then it picked up to 30,811 backers. So these people were on an absolute winner. Then they did the Engine of Vengeance, which is an absolute stinker of a project. Like I said, everybody I think was in unanimous agreement that shouldn't have been a Haslab. Now the Shills, they said, yeah, no, it should have been, but forget about them because they lost all credibility in around that time. Now the truth has come to the surface and people are more interested in that rather than listen to these shills that are out there that are telling you to fork over your money for a year and wait for this nonsense to come out then. And now you have this situation at hand with Giant Man. So the Hasbro team decided that they wanted to hide behind the fact that they had put characters as tiers beforehand. Ryan Ting has been quoted as saying, "You didn't want this one to be Repaint City." What a strange thing to say. They've already released Ant-Man and then they've released Hank Pym in a set that you had to buy 5 other characters to get a Hank Pym that was in a jumpsuit. Then Ryan Ting is saying, well, you can buy the other figures now for $24.99. Anybody's guess is going to be what it is going forward with prices. Everybody knows that there's price increases on the way again. And people that are currently paying $24.99, this time next year you probably won't be paying that. You'll probably be paying upwards of $30 for each figure depending on how they release it. They tested the market they did there with that Spider-Man from the Spider-Man game from PS5. So they know now how much people are willing to pay for certain characters, and now people that are looking to be desperate to collect things that are related to this Giant Man, they're going to sting you for that. Pardon the pun, because I know an awful lot of people wanted Wasp. But here's the number for the Giant Man, and again, this is something that people haven't been focusing on, I don't think. They had previously, in the Galactus Haslab that was successful, 30,811 backers. They got for this Haslab, now whether a number of people out there are saying that maybe there were some books that were cooked, I don't know. I did think it was very unusual there in the last day, in the last couple of hours, that this got funded and then it stopped short of getting the scroll head. That's kind of like seeming to me like flipping the board at people and saying, well, you didn't really back this one, guys. I don't know, allegedly, respectively. But you then ended up with 13,889 backers with a target of 10,000, which is far too many. I mean, it's crazy to think, isn't it, that the Sentinel, that's an army builder character, was at 6,000 and they want 10,000 people to back a character like Giant Man. There's a lot of debate in the community now, people saying that Giant Man is an important character, he's not an important character, whatever it might be. To me, I don't think a 24-inch Giant Man is a dream project. I don't see the reason why this is a Haslab. This could have absolutely been a retail store, even Hasbro Pulse maybe, exclusive, and people still would have picked it up. You could ship this thing without the arms and legs attached and get people to attach them themselves, like the Brachiosaurus that's been done there by Mattel's Hammond collection. To me, these things are supposed to be dream projects. Joint Man's not a dream project. I don't care what anybody says. It's just not. But the backer numbers have fallen from the previous successful Haslab, 16,922. So you've got a number of shills that are out there that are clapping sales, that are saying what a success, they got it over the line. The scroll head, they've been begging Hasbro to give that scroll head, and they're not going to give it because they didn't get another 111 backers. Everybody knew that on this side of the fence that realizes what this company are doing. But the other side were like, oh, maybe they will give us that as a gesture of goodwill. The reason why they're not doing that as a gesture of goodwill is because of people like you. The reason why they are putting this behind a Haslab campaign rather than forking the money over is because of people like you. And these people that are in this community, that shill for these companies, that are friends with these marketers and all these guys within this company, are the very ones then that the marketers are actually challenging them and saying to them, we don't want you to be buying stuff on clearance. Now obviously that's not great business for any company, but the reason why stuff is going on clearance is because your stuff is junk. People don't want to buy it. They want to buy good stuff. They don't want to buy junk. And let me tell you this, if this Giant Man was released at retail, this would have been going on clearance. 100%. But what you're seeing is a dramatic drop. So for these people that are out there that are saying, oh, this did so well and it got over the line, the fans rallied behind it and they backed it. Since the last successful Haslab, you have lost nearly 17,000 people. Now, I know that the people that are there in the company that are the faces of this are going to try and swing this as a positive. And to me, they were desperate towards the end, because when they were showing up on live streams and saying really weird things, Dan Yoon in particular was talking about the Giant Man, and to me more or less insinuated that this was done as a return on investment. That is a crazy thing to admit on a stream. And not only that, then to start talking about fans and talking about, well, if Giant Man doesn't get over the line, we're not going to do much more comic characters. Like, what is he talking about? Comic characters are your bread and butter. The MCU is on its way out. Unless Disney sort things out and say, right, okay, an end to the wokeness and leftism in these movies and TV shows, it's done, it's on ice. So the only thing you're going to have for the next couple of years is comic book characters. That's it. To lose 17,000 people, near enough 17,000 people, is an absolute loss. And the fact there's people running around there trying to take a victory lap with this has just made me laugh. Because that's an insane thing to be running around and saying. Then you look at other campaigns that are getting off the ground and they're doing it within 24 hours. Why is that? Because there's love, care and attention that are seemingly going into those projects. Lately, QC hasn't been good for sure, and I would be very, very aware of what sort of QC issues might pop up in future. But when you have a team like the Legends team that have, to me, seemed very combative and very dismissive and very unwilling to learn, that's why people have an issue with that. And why people are starting to point fingers at this line and say, hang on here, I don't think this is as good as it should be. And the proof is in the pudding there, because what you did was you had a successful campaign in Galactus, then you absolutely flopped, you did, with the Engine of Vengeance, and irritated the community. And I'd say the large majority of people, because that thing failed because you've irritated so many people. This thing was close to failing because you've irritated so many people. And then they're running around saying, yeah, we got out of the line, congratulations, and they're delighted with themselves. I tell you, if I was someone that was in the company looking at a failure just beforehand, a near failure in this one, and the previous campaign having nearly 17,000 more backers, I'd certainly be looking around and going, who's responsible for this? I don't know about you guys, but I certainly wouldn't be running around thinking this is a win. And I thought it was very ironic that they were talking on streams with Dan Yoon and even himself there on Twitter about having a long celebration, and he was going on Twitter going, welp, I'm back to work now, the celebration didn't last long. Mate, I think you're lucky to be in a job when it comes to these things, because if you lost nearly 17,000 backers since the previous success, I would be keeping low. I'd be keeping the head down if I was you, because to me, I think you're probably the most superfluous person in that team. And you have come off as the most combative in the team over the last while. You don't think so, but everybody else does. So I don't know about you, but that's what people say. So anyway, the Marvel Legends line, I think, is in trouble. I think it's in trouble going forward because an awful lot of people are seeing repaints and slight remolds, and they're seeing pins still being added to figures, and they're saying to themselves, why is this happening now? And then they have characters that are not being made and are coming out like Luke Cage, not well, and this new Last Stand Spider-Man that looks awful also. We still don't have an X-Men's Angel. What's the story with that? How come he's not being made? They still are talking about, in roundabout ways, about Mephisto. Why is he not out? Why is there not a Ghost Rider wave? To me, again, I think with the failure of that Engine of Vengeance, they put that Ghost Rider wave that was going to come out, I'm sure it was, they put that on ice, they did. And I think the same thing was happening here. I think they were beginning to panic to go, we have an Ant-Man wave planned and we don't know whether it's going to happen. But arrogance and narcissism and an unwillingness to listen is why this team is in the predicament that it's in, and why it gets so much criticism. And 17,000 people, near enough 17,000 people backing out of giving these people any more money is one heck of a number. Something to think about, isn't it? Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links in the description down below to support the channel, and I'll talk to you later. Look.